What's going on, guys? Brandon here again, and today I want to talk about the love that surpasses all understanding. It's funny. I grew up a Christian my whole life, and I've kind of walked the walk in a lot of ways, and I've completely been a complete failure in a lot of ways. Don't really swear, never have. Don't really drink, never have. Don't really do drugs, never really have. And take care of myself overall, not too much in gluttony. Pretty solid. There's a lot of things I've done right, and there's a lot of things I've done wrong, mainly a lot of sexual immorality, a lot of lusting, a lot of desire of I'm capable of everything. But with all that said, the Bible, I know this is not exactly a biblical channel, but it's something that has come up in my life recently. The Bible talks about that God loves us with a love that surpasses all understanding. We don't even get it. And so I would challenge you to think about, when was the last time that you felt love like the hardest, where you're just like, oh my gosh, I felt love. As someone who grew up in a great family, it's funny, I don't really have a lot of stories with my own family where I feel a lot of love. And I don't know if that's, honestly, as I go through all of this drama in my life right now, I don't know if that's from my own lies that I told myself. I don't know if that's like spiritual warfare. I don't know if that's just because I've always considered myself different and I didn't feel like my family ever cared to understand. And so I just always felt alone or separate or what. I don't know. But there's times I can tell you that I felt love that was just immaculate, amazing. Unfortunately, it's never been with my marriage. But I can tell you the story that crosses my mind off the top of my head was I was in North Dakota working in the oil field, and I was, and I still am, I lead by example. I believe in showing up early and leaving late if you're the boss. Well, just in general, but I was the boss, so I believe in living that type of lifestyle. And we were working a really crappy job, and I'd probably been working with this crew roughly for let's say 2 years at this point. And we had a really cold weather, nasty job, and I was sick as a dog. I showed up just like I always do, and we were working our butts off. It was like a crew of 4 or 5 guys. And the way our shifts work is that we would pretty much work all the way through the job, and sometimes we'd be able to take breaks. And I always took the last break because I was the boss, and a lot of times I wouldn't get a break. And we would just let everybody else take the breaks. And the way the break works is you go down, you sleep, you play on your phone, you do whatever the heck you want to do. And then when your break is over, the next guy that's going to take a break comes down, pounds on the window, gives you 5 minutes to wake up. You come back up to take over his position. He goes down and replaces you. So that's kind of how we did it. So I am sick as a dog, and I have lived a pretty good life when it comes to respecting my crew, leading by example, working hard, all that jazz. And I'm feeling awful. And the guys tell me, hey, Brandon, we want you to take the first break. I'd never taken one ever. And I was so sick, I was like, you know what? I really appreciate you guys. I'll take it. So I go down, and I'm just completely whooped. And I'm like, I'm going to sleep every second I can and lay down, conk out. Finally, the door knocks, or somebody knocks on the door, and I jump out, okay, time to work, time to figure this thing out, get all my clothes on, go running up to the top of the job. It's these are oil rigs, so you have to run up the stairs and all that jazz, and I get up there, and everything's done. It was probably, I want to say -10 to -20 degrees outside. These guys have just worked 12 to 16 hours without taking a break. Not one of them took a break. Not one. And they all worked in horrible, miserable conditions, letting me sleep in a warm truck the whole time because they loved me, because they cared about me. That still to this day puts tears in my eyes. I mean, I'm almost crying right now thinking about that. That was a time I felt love that was really rare, and I haven't felt that very often in my life. I say that because as I'm going through what I'm going through right now, which is I just separated from my wife, we're headed towards divorce. I've lost connection with pretty much my entire family. My family won't really talk to me. They won't respond. They don't want to talk to me. And before the separation happened, this was going on. Hey, we're doing a family event, Brandon, you're not invited, that type of thing. And you don't feel the love, obviously. That's not on the topic of love. But once I separated, Mother's Day was a few Sundays ago, and I was at church, and I felt pretty emotional, to be honest. I've never had a super tight relationship with my mom. I'm not going to pretend I did, but I still love her enough to want to give her a hug and tell her, hey, I appreciate you and all that jazz. And I was at church crying in the service, recognizing that my mom didn't even want a hug from me. She didn't even want me to reach out to her, as far as I know. And it's because I hurt her, and I've hurt her a lot, and I've made her feel probably frustrated of how she was a mother, frustrated that her son would do the things I've done and kind of ruin her family name to a degree. And I've hurt her tremendously to the point where she doesn't even want a hug from me right now. Doesn't even want me to call her, doesn't even want me to text her. And I just wanted a hug. I just wanted to give her a hug, tell her, hey, I appreciate you. And she didn't even want it. And it made me realize the beauty of the Christian walk. I'm not an expert on Christianity. In fact, I consider myself a terrible Christian that's trying his hardest to become a better Christian, but I struggle, to say the least. But in the Christian walk, it's that we are sinners, we are failures, and that God is perfect. And so we have no chance of going to heaven because we're failures. I mean, you think of how much I've hurt my mom. My mom's I'm not going to call her a loser, but compared to God, I better keep my hat on. I look pretty terrible. Compared to compared to God, she's a loser. She's made all kinds of mistakes. And think of the pain I've caused her going through all of this. Multiply that times 1,000,000 with the pain that we've caused God. If he's perfect, my mom's not even remotely perfect, and I've hurt her so much that she doesn't even want me to call her, text her, or give her a hug. Think of how much more we are hurting God. And yet, instead of disowning us or saying, don't talk to me because you hurt me, he said, hey, I love you so much that I'm going to give you my only son, and I'm going to have him die the most miserable death possible. I'm going to have him spat on, hit, abused, whipped, mocked, ridiculed. And even though he's going to do nothing wrong, he's then going to die one of the most miserable deaths possible because I love you that much. And even though you're going to fail, and you're going to fail miserably, you're going to fail every single day miserably, I still love you so much that I want a relationship with you. My friends, that is unconditional love.